The first one here, we have the EPA urged to quit spreading tax-funded partisan propaganda on social media. What's this story?
This comes from a group called the Public Employees for Environmental Responsibility, or PEER. They represent employees in the environmental agencies, and that would include whistleblowers, and they're frequently using their platform to anonymously challenge the failure of this government to uphold environmental protections. And that's been very pervasive under President Donald Trump. And now they're publicly challenging the EPA and the messaging that they use for social media, which maybe we didn't know because we just sort of assumed that this is captured by this administration anyways, so all agencies are going to be used for political purposes. But it's in fact actually illegal, they point out, to engage in political self-promotion, and they would like Congress to enforce the ban against federal funding for, quote, propaganda purposes, end quote. And then they also would like to obtain reimbursement for the costs of the EPA's partisan tweets and other improper social media campaigning. That's another quote from the press release that they put out. And Piers asked the Government Accountability Office, which is an office that conducts reviews of agencies, to look at the EPA Administrator Andrew Wheeler's tweets and how they violate the law. And Wheeler is a coal industry lobbyist who was put in charge of running the EPA after Scott Pruitt, who was also a lobbyist for the energy industry. The tweets that they call attention to that have gone out are the following. Under President Trump's leadership, we continue to clean up the air, clean up our water, and clean up our land. And then another one was EPA is operating in the best interest of all Americans, including those who are working to keep our infrastructure running. Again, it continues. They are also, in this upcoming one, they actually tag Donald Trump's own account. So it says, under real Donald Trump's leadership, our economy is booming, air and water quality continually improving, and we are bringing real opportunities to America's forgotten communities. And then as they're highlighting here, a lot of these tweets have nothing to do with what the EPA is involved in handling. So you have examples like President Trump and the POTUS is providing the leadership necessary to secure our southern border. Obviously, the EPA does nothing with immigration. And then also the president continues to show strong leadership during this time of a national emergency. They really shouldn't be commenting on that. That has nothing to do with EPA policy. So apparently, if the GAO concludes that this is propaganda or partisan, they could be accused of violating the Anti-Deficiency Act, which would mean that the agency would be fined $10,000 to $100,000 for each violation. And so this is, it's, I guess, not the most serious thing compared to the fact that we see a lot of pollution that is running rampant, and we see that there are hurricanes bearing down upon us, wildfires in California. We're seeing the climate catastrophe intensifying, but when you see that the EPA is actually fronting as a kind of Twitter account for a super PAC that might be boosting President Donald Trump, I think that adds to the insult of the fact that the EPA is no longer involved in environmental protection.